and who's going to be quickest and all the drama surrounding Aston Martin. So it's good to have Formula One back, alongside racing with one hub, because they go kind of side and side together, don't they, Cole?
Yeah, exactly that. I'm very excited. I was actually watching the practice this morning before work. Very keen to see the new cars, and I got to be honest, I like the look of them. We'll have to wait and see what the racing's like and what these new power units are like, but it's going to be an exciting weekend.
Yeah, and of course, next season on we call it the new game, but we know it's going to be obviously
DLC.
DLC.
Yeah.
But we'll be able to have up to 22 drivers in each tier, of course, because there's 11 teams.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. I got to be honest, I love the look of the Cadillac. I absolutely love it. I can see me trying to get in the Cadillac, but I don't think I'm going to be the only one, because it is a great looking car, I got to be honest.
Alrighty, well, back to season 28, of course, on F1 25, and Australia. Lots of incidents, Cole. It's kind of a street track in a sense, but obviously there's lots of grass either side. Why do you think this track particularly kind of breeds? Because it's not just last week's race. Generally, at Australia, we do see quite a high number of incidents.
Yeah, we do. I think it's the nature of the track, the nature of the corners, especially turn one, because that's it's a DRS zone into that corner. And it's a great opportunity to overtake. But of course, it is quite tricky, because those first two corners are very, very quick, in modern day Formula One cars. But as you can see there, the second DRS zone into that tight right-hander, that's also a great overtaking opportunity as well. But yeah, Australia does tend to give us a lot of incidents due to the nature of the track. And like you said, Nick, with the walls and the grass being so close as well.
Yeah, I think, what's really important, and the message that, the stewards want to get across, particularly after a week where they have a lot of incidents, is that at the end of the day, sometimes we're handing out, we understand obviously incidents need to be investigated, but sometimes we're handing out 3 and 5 second penalties. And, had the driver who's at fault waited up, they would have lost probably less than that time in some circumstances. And they could have continued racing, and it wouldn't have ended up in the steward's office. We don't want to be deciding race wins and things like that in the steward's office, because at the end of the day, I think it was Kinney got his first win in the P2 tier, but ultimately I think lost that call on a time penalty. We are humans, and we're happy for drivers when they get the first win. So it actually makes us. Salou last season as well lost his, first win, and it actually makes us feel a little bit guilty, doesn't it?
It does. I think I mentioned it to you in the management chat as well. I was like, oh, hell, Kinney's going to lose his first race win on a time penalty, and that's really rough. Obviously, we can't go, oh, it's Kinney's first win, we won't bother giving him a penalty. We've still got to apply our rules the same, but it is such a shame, and it's horrible doing it. Taking a win off a driver, even though it's a fair penalty and a justified one, still doesn't make it any easier.
Yeah, of course. And as you said, whether it will affect the race winner or whether it will affect 14th place, the incident has to be looked at the same. We use our rules to decide who's at fault, and then we just go to the parameters to kind of just tell us what the penalty is. And as you said, that there might be instances where the penalty that we give might not even lose the driver who's at fault or position, but the parameters enable us to be as consistent as possible.
Yeah, exactly that. I think we did see that in a P3 race where a driver got a penalty, but it didn't actually affect his position. But that is, that's in real Formula One as well. It's the nature of the beast. We've seen it in the past where drivers have had a penalty have just about kept their position, you know. But of course, if there's a late safety car, then you might lose a couple of places. It's unfortunate, but of course it's the fairest way to do it for all concerned.
Alrighty, well, without further ado, let's jump into some incidents, and we're going to jump over to Rob's POV of his first lap incident down into turn 3, Cole. Obviously, a bit of a bottleneck corner on the inside, and just gets sucked into focusing on the cars around him, that kind of forgets whereabouts he is on track. And look at all these cars. He's obviously got the run on Axel very close up behind, focusing on that, and then suddenly the braking zone's there. He misses it, makes contact with multiple cars, and then even worse, the game disqualifies him for the incident. And you're going to see Mertz's POV as well shortly. But yeah, it's really tricky. Here you go.
Yes, he got obviously unsighted by the cars ahead and completely misjudged where he was on the track, and kaboom. I managed to avoid this just about. Yeah, it was a bit of a shock to see so many cars disappear off. Yeah, of course, there's poor old Senna as well.
I mean, Senna was pretty late on the brakes there, but just about got his car under control at the apex. You can see the rear sliding slightly, and then Rob obviously, and I think this is a reminder to drivers that look how much can be lost on the first lap on the third corner compared to how much you could gain.
Yeah, exactly, and just be a little bit more aware of your surroundings and where you are in relation to the braking zone. He was probably desperate to make up positions as well, as I was, to be fair, qualifying near the back. But like you said, time and a place, and unfortunately for Rob, he destroyed his race and hurt others as well. It wasn't deliberate, not by any stretch of the imagination. It was just a genuine mistake.
So ended up with a 15-place grid penalty. Obviously, Cole, the grid penalty was issued because a 15-second time penalty couldn't be issued. So ultimately, that's kind of how we determine. And with the lobby restarts, we've mentioned, obviously, we're able to, and just as put it up on the stream for us, we're able to do the grid penalties.
Yes. So we look at whether it's a light green, yellow, amber or red incident. That determines a time penalty. If the driver DNFs from that race, then that's converted into a grid penalty for the next race. And I think this system is making it clear for the drivers. It's consistent as well.
Easy for the stewards as well, because once we decide who's at fault, we just go to this. And, it's usually pretty straightforward in terms of what the time penalty or the grid penalty will be.
Yeah, exactly that. In other leagues, they're probably discussing what the penalty would be and going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We just determine, is it penalty worthy? Yes or no? And then the stewarding parameters take control.
Alrighty, well, on to the next one. Jacob and Kinney, and of course, 2 title hopefuls in the P2 tier. And heading into turn 1, Cole, always a difficult corner because it's such a high speed corner. But ultimately there was contact, and we did feel that Jacob was 50% alongside at the point of turn in, and Kinney just squeezed him a little bit too much. And look, he's only lost minimal time, has Jacob, but the point is had Kinney, say, perhaps in this instant let him back through, he would have lost less time than the penalty caused him.
Yeah, exactly that. I don't actually like overtaking in this corner because it's so fast and it's very, very difficult because the driver on the outside always tries to carry it around the outside, myself included. It's a very difficult corner to overtake, but of course if you do have someone fully alongside like Jacob is, and he does go to take the curb inside as well, but Kinney just he leaves a little bit of room, but not quite enough, and then that's obviously when the contact's made.
Yeah, and as you said, it's really difficult because it's such a high speed corner, Cole. The turning point is obviously critical to get it right, and obviously in this instance, Kinect turned in slightly too early, but you can clearly see his intention wasn't to cut Jacob off. His intention, I believe, from watching his POV, was to give the room to Jacob. He just mistimed that turn in slightly, which when you're traveling at that speed can be done.
Yeah, it's easy done. I've done it myself 100 times. You go, I'm going to leave a bit of room here, and you go, oh, hell, that wasn't enough. But you can see that he tries to leave a little bit of room, a car's width, but doesn't quite judge it, which is a very difficult thing to do, to be honest, at the best of time. And there's a nice still showing that there's not quite enough room left for Jacob, because he lost the place as well. So the stewards went with 5 seconds.
Alrighty, on to the next one was Moki. And yeah, sorry, just in there saying this penalty ultimately lost Kine the win, which we mentioned was a shame. But he'll have plenty of opportunities, I think, this season with the pace that he's shown.
I hope so.
To grab himself a win in the P2 tier. So yeah, and I don't think there's any hard feelings between these boys either, which is great to see. So the next one is Moki, Cole, which was a really interesting one. And I put this one in because it's not something we usually are able to act upon. But in this circumstance, you can clearly see the game error made a mistake.
This is the wildest glitch I've ever seen. I've never seen this before. But if you watch this very carefully, so the pit lane speed limit is 80 kilometers an hour. And in he comes into the pit lane, and he's less than 80 crossing the line, or approaching the line, as you can see there, 73. And as he crosses it, he is still underneath it. And there you can see 79, and the game says, no, you're all right, you're getting a penalty anyway. Which is so unusual. I've never seen that before. And it's clear, I did a ultra slow-mo for myself to watch it, and it's clear that at no point did he exceed 80 kilometers an hour, either on his MFD or on the on-screen display. So fortunately for Moki, he didn't need to serve this in the pit lane because, as you can see, we're lap 23 of 29. So he crossed the line and then served it when he got. Here we go. There's a slow-mo from our wizard, Jess. And so we were able to remove 10 seconds from his time. But you can see there, Nick, that he does not exceed 80 mile an hour when he crosses the line or enters the pit lane. Very odd glitch.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is really important that you mentioned, because he didn't serve the 10 seconds, the stewards are able to remove it. If a driver does serve the 10 seconds, the stewards simply cannot remove it. But obviously he didn't because it was such late on in the race. Now, we have had incidents, Cole, where a driver is doing exactly the speed limit and then they get penalized, but we haven't removed that. And the reason for that is because although you only see it as 0 decimal points, the game actually measures it in decimal points, which means if you get a penalty, usually for doing the exact speed limit, then it will chances are
80.2 or something. So
but obviously in this circumstance that didn't happen.
Yeah, sorry, Nick. The biggest clue for that is if you look at the screen, you can see 80 kph and it's green. That's telling the driver that he is below that speed limit. Now, if you're doing 80 point something, that 80 kilometers an hour will usually stay red. Even though it says 80, it's in the red to say that you're 80 kilometers an hour, but 0.8 and you're still slightly over. So Mikey's in the chat saying, snap. Is there not a way you could remove 10 seconds of a driver's total race time if they had to serve it? The problem is, the race time, like Jess said, the race time will be knackered. It's not a fair system to remove 10-second time penalties if you served it as well.
Yeah, obviously, if there was a late safety car, and you finish in third, and you have 10 seconds removed, it could actually mean you finish further ahead than you naturally would have done. So it'd almost
Yeah.
be manipulating the race results. So because we obviously don't know if you serve that, you could drop down the field, and whatever it might be could change within your race because that's happened. So yeah, unfortunately, it's not possible for us to remove it. But in this circumstance for Moki, it was late on in the race. He didn't have to pit again, and therefore we were able to.
Yeah, exactly that. And of course, he gave us his race director as well, so we could easily see that he didn't serve it, and that Jess is going to show us the race director for us, so we can see that he didn't serve it, and he crossed the line with it. So we did have an opportunity to remove it. There you go. There's the. So you scroll down all the way down to the bottom, and down the bottom it says there's your 10-second time penalty, and he hadn't served it.
All right, last incident we're going to look at is actually involving Jess. Of course, Jess showing us everything you see on screen between Max and Jess. Now, Cole, I just want to quickly say that in certain incidents, and this is one of them, basically, and I'm just going to read it to you. So obviously Jess opened the ticket, she explained her POV, what happened, and Max basically just replied saying, I could censor footage, but I already know I'm at fault. I misjudged the space I had. I take full responsibility. Sorry for my side.
Yeah, which is lovely. And this is, no, you can see here that Max he's not aware of Jess. And he goes, right, I'll go to the, and then before he knows it, he's made contact with Jess and gave Jess damage. I've nearly did this the other day. Luckily, I noticed in time and managed to turn back. Frighten the monkeys out of the other driver, no doubt. But yeah, and it was, it was really nice. There was no hard feelings between Jess and Max. Obviously, Jess's race was severely impacted, but unfortunately, that's racing. It does happen.
Yeah, and it's great to see. I think Jess basically will respect Max for the fact that he hasn't gone and defended himself and tried to say, he's just put his hands up and say, yeah, I misjudged it, my mistake. And 99% of the time, if a driver does that, what can you really say to them, Cole?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? You can't get too mad. You just kind of go, okay, well, be more careful. And they say, yeah, my bad, and you move on.
Yeah, because I've been doing this long enough. I've done karting as well. I know for a fact I'm likely to do this as well to another driver. Do you know what I mean? At some point. So you got to bear that in mind. We are not professionals either. We've seen mistakes like this done by esports drivers and professional racing drivers who get paid £1 squillion an hour to do it. So I always say to drivers, just bear that in mind. We are not perfect. Mistakes will happen.
And just correct me if I'm wrong, Cole. Because the stewards felt that they didn't need Max footage, and he's basically admitted that he's wrong and said, yeah, I'm at fault. I believe he didn't get a no POV penalty.
No need, because he put his hand up and he said, look, you don't even need my footage, that's my fault. So there was no need to go and give a POV penalty for that. So the reason why, just to explain to the people why we introduced this a couple of seasons ago, is there was a danger, and we were concerned that drivers could go, do you know what, without my footage, they're not going to have a flipping clue it's my fault. So I won't bother putting it in. And this is something we wanted to avoid as much as we could. But if a driver goes, oh, sorry, that's my bad, completely my fault, then, we're less likely to give a points deduction penalty as well.
Alrighty, well, those are the incidents we wanted to highlight this week. Hope you enjoyed our explanations for them. I think Jess is going. We didn't have many, so guys, if you are watching and you are racing in the league, please make sure you submit your battles and your overtakes, because we do want to highlight, some good examples of racing, not just incidents. But I think Jess has found a couple for us to look at. I'm not sure how exciting they are, but she's going to put them on stream for us. And this is Lukey's start, so we don't like to praise Lukey too much. Because it's not within his admin contract, but
and it's against my religion as well.
Talk us through this. Starting in 6th place, so quite high up for Lukey, and gets a good start on the pad.
Yes, I'm also taking full credit for this because I told Lukey what revs to use to get a good start, so I'm taking all credit. But you can see here, leaves loads of room on the exit. Cuts the corner nice, really little tap with the wall, but doesn't damage his cut too much. And that is a brilliant start. And that is a start based on experience around here. He knows those drivers are going to run slightly wide into turn 1. And if he can brake a little earlier, cut the corner nice and well, then he's going to get his superb run down into turn 3, which he does.
Yeah, you can see 2 drivers there on the grass on the left-hand side. So they've carried too much speed. As you said, Luke brakes a little bit earlier. That comes with experience, and that comes with also, Luke knows it's lap 1, turn 1. That there's no need for any heroics, and you can even see Mr. Zontal in front. He locks up slightly, so I think he was lucky to avoid going onto the grass as well. A little lock up there, and then of course, the car on the left just giving Lukey enough room. I think, to be fair, as the red arrow got bigger, he kind of moved further to the left, and then the battle continues behind Luke. But great start by him.
Yeah, it was really good, and it was very good awareness by Kinney as well, because he had a fast approaching car on his right hand side. He realised he was there and then moved across slightly to give Lukey a bit more room, so that was good awareness by Kinney as well.
Alrighty, next one is Mark battling Morgan, so Mikey's favourite person. And we're going to see this from Mark's POV. So obviously Mark, very experienced driver, and you can see Morgan there. So this massive DRS zone, you can see the closing speed. Use a little bit of ERS, doesn't want to use too much, and then knows that Cole, he's going to get the second dose of DRS, keeps it tight, nails the exit, and then although Morgan has DRS on the car in front, the overspeed that the Aston Martin has, brakes on the racing line, gets stuck slightly into J. Cole, but is able to get his car slowed down. A brilliant executed move that was planned here.
Yeah, that was planned many corners before that. You can see that he's using his ERS just a little bit, not too much. He just wants to get into the zone behind him, so that. And now he turns it off. So you can see now he's just holding behind him. Brakes a little earlier, focusing on the exit out of this corner here. And then DRS wide open, nail the ERS. Morgan does the best thing that he could do, which is cover the inside. But Mark has great overspeed and manages to brake well for that tricky right-hander.
I don't know if Jess can go back to the fast left right-hander. And I just want to point out Mark's positioning as he turns left. Yeah, so here we go. So if you keep an eye here, you can see that Mark lifts slightly early. So Morgan then carries more speed into the corner. And you can see, look at Mark using more of the curb on the inside, Cole, because he is thinking all about the exit. And he knows that he needs to absolutely nail this exit. He puts his ERS into none, which is really strategic driving so that he can get maximum traction and stability through this high-speed corner, which is difficult, Cole, being this close to the car in front with the dirty air. And then if Jess plays it on slightly, you'll see Morgan's obviously on the right-hand side of the racing line. And there you go. He switches his car back and, it's cost him 50% of ERS between the two straights to get this move done. But ultimately, it was worth it because he's going to have DRS down the main straight from J. Cole. From
J. Cole, yeah, which is ideal for him then, and he'd be able to use that then as a defensive DRS rather than an overtaking DRS.
Alrighty, and the next one is going to be between Mark and J. Cole. Obviously, don't like saying too many good things about J. Cole either after last season's antics in Netherlands. But you're going to see a pit lane exit. So this is something a little bit different. And this is my first time watching it as well,
same.
Cole. I haven't had a chance, so we'll be watching it live with you. So Mark's obviously on the exit. He'll be using the mini-map on the left-hand side to see who's close behind. Takes the exit, and he can see that arrow turn red very soon. Obviously, he doesn't have DRS. The car behind. What's really clever there is he stayed in the middle of the track. I don't know if Jess can bring it back for us. He stayed in the middle of the track, left just enough room either side, and so the car behind has got to make that decision. Do I go for it on the outside? Do I go for it on the inside? And I have to say, a little bit of indecisiveness.
Yes, I think in hindsight, and hindsight is dead easy, let's be honest. When J. Cole saw Axlock down the pit straight, he might have been better off lifting a little earlier than he normally would to get a better run down this straight. But hindsight is a wonderful thing. But you can see Mark positions his car perfectly. Where he's making it awkward for the pair of the drivers behind to get any advantage from him. And don't forget, Mark's on cold tyres here as well.
Yeah, and he's in none because he's heading towards the corner. You know, it's a clever trick that, you know, if you want to be quick on this game, you've got to be using none in certain corners and things like this. But yeah, to defend against two drivers on cold tyres is impressive. I don't know if Jess can play it forward slightly for us, just into the braking zone. And yeah, so you can see that at that point, he sees that Morgan's backed out on the inside, and J. Cole's similarly done the same on the outside. And look at that, now he's got 3 attempts as he heads through the next series of corners. So great racing from those boys. You know, there has been a lot of incidents in the P2 tier, Cole, but it just shows you that there is great racing across the season. Jess has got one more for us, Mikey's battle on the last lap clip, and of course, Cole, last clip. And Cole, Mikey obviously new to league last season, getting more and more experience with every race, and you're going to see this similar corner, Cole, that we've looked at. Look at the overspeed.
Whoa! Ooh! Yeah, look at that on Rydog there. Gets little bit of a desync there, I think, as well, because the Merc seemed to jump back a bit towards him, but good reactions. Of course, this is Mikey's first season on wheel as well, which is brilliant, and he's really driving well, and you can see he's getting more confident as he's going as well with it, and I believe he's taken some assists off as well. Mikey will be able to correct me in the chat.
Obviously, on us, there's DRS. You'll see open now. Little bit of touch on the grass there, didn't cause any damage, and yeah, able to get the job done. Carries a bit of speed through that series of corner, that kind of the opposite to what Mark did, but ultimately he'd completed the move by then. So yeah, and Mikey saying in the chat, 0 assists now, bar.
Smash
corner line. So yeah, well done to him. Cole, next week, this Sunday, in Silverstone, one of the all-time great tracks that everyone I think loves racing on, always puts on great races. Plenty of opportunities to overtake, DRS zones, tricky corners. Maybe will we see some rain? You looking forward to it?
Yes, I'm also looking forward to remembering to load my flipping setup. Because Rydog and I did the same thing in Australia. We forgot to load our setup, so we were with a default setup. Even though we had plenty of time. I mean, the funny thing was, I was sitting there on the grid, doing nothing, giving people plenty of time to sort their setups out, while I didn't have my setup loaded, which wasn't the brightest manoeuvres that I've ever done. It was nice in the corners, and I, like Rydog will know, it was like a tank on the straights. So please remember your setups. Don't be a plonker like I was. Because it's very frustrating. And of course, it takes a good few laps to get used to the new setup as well. But yeah, I love Silverstone. Absolutely cracking track. I'm hoping for some rain. We haven't had any yet. We've had 3 races, all dry. Is it going to be the British weather at the British Grand Prix?
Yeah, and of course some amazing corners around this track that with these cars and with a setup, Cole, you can absolutely throw into. So really enjoyable track to drive, and keep an eye on those track extenders on Copse and Stowe. But otherwise, have a great race, everyone. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. We'll just thank our sponsors, of course, before we go. And start with Sim Racing Setups, because they have a sale on at the moment on F1 25 setups. So if you want to go and grab that bundle, just head over and get that. Of course, I think there's a code on our Discord as well. Not sure if it will work on discounted items, but definitely give it a good go. Jess is saying yes, it would in our ears. So yeah, make sure you go and check them out. Pure Sim Gear, obviously Sim Racing socks and Sim Racing gloves. Next Level Racing, who provide rigs and seats and a whole load of prizes over the years. Our title sponsor, Delta.app. Make sure you download the app, over 18s only. Vespertine, of course, you can get our sim gear with it. T-shirts, hoodies, caps, all sorts of things, and plenty of prizes to win from them this season. And of course, SimGrid, who we run all of our championships through and attract a lot of new drivers. Cole, finished off with anything?
Yes, so the next stream now will be Jess and myself on Sunday morning. We'll interview a couple of drivers. We will give our predictions, which I've got all wrong every single race. And same as Jess. And we will go through and pick the weather for the race as well with the infamous wheel.
Alrighty, well, make sure you tune into that. And of course, all the drivers, best of luck on Sunday. Hope you enjoyed not just your race, but the real Formula One this weekend. And Colin and I will be back next Friday to, of course, bring you a Stewards show. And hopefully it's going to be not too filled with incidents, and we can get some good overtakes in there as well. And of course, International Women's Day on Sunday. Well done. And celebrations for any women who are racing in esports, because Cole, it's great to see.
Yeah, it is brilliant. We've had a couple of female drivers over the years. Obviously, we've got our legend Jess. We've had Catherine in the past as well. And hopefully, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, Sophie as well. Yeah, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we do get a woman Formula One driver soon, and I'm hoping it's going to be the Welsh driver Ella Jones as well. Ella Lloyd, as Jess corrects me in my ear.
Alrighty, everyone. Well, thanks very much for joining us, and big thanks to Jess in our ear, who's shown all the clips on the screen. And hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday evening. Enjoy the real Formula One. And hopefully Lewis Hamilton brings home that 8th World Championship this season. Thanks, everyone. Good night.